Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today I'm going to be talking to Kevin Markarian, the founder of Markarian Real Estate. He's also an Inc. 500 entrepreneur and has several other businesses in the real estate space. I wanted to have him on the show because he said something crazy to me the other day. He said, every single day I get multiple buyer and seller leads sent to my inbox on autopilot. He basically is going to break down his entire real estate deal machine, all of his favorite softwares and apps that he uses to run his entire business, and how to systematize and automate every part of your real estate business. If you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you roundhouse kick that like button so other cool people just like you can find this video. And if you like real estate and you like money, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. Kevin, welcome back.
Happy to be here.
Very excited to have you on again. I always love talking to you. Obviously, we're good friends out in the real world, and we had a lot of recent, really good real estate conversations in Vegas. And one of the things we talked about, which I think is something you've done really well, is building the real estate machine. And what I mean by that is you've basically figured out how to systematize the entire marketing process to where you have minimal involvement and maximum results. You have a lot of automation set up, which is near and dear to my heart. And I just kind of want to break it down. I want to break down the machine that you've built. I think people can learn a lot, get a lot of value, and we can just dissect this thing.
Okay, well, let's do it. I'm happy to be here. First and foremost, just want to say thanks for the invitation. It's always fun, and it's a big honor to be a part of this wonderful podcast that you've got going on. So cheers to that, my friend, as you open up your...
Thank you. I'm cracking a beer right as this guy comes with his weed blower to...
Great timing on the weed blower.
Perfect timing, right when we start the podcast.
So, yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So first, I wanna share a little story that I think was pretty cool out in Vegas that happened. Kevin was the first person in a long time to surprise me with a good time, and it was very unexpected. We were leaving the hotel. It was the day we were supposed to check out, and Kevin texted me like, "Hey, let's just meet in the valet area." And I'm like, "Okay, that is kind of odd, but whatever." Like, we had just had breakfast or at dinner the night before, said, "Hey, let's meet in the casino, whatever, we'll get together, we'll get our stuff, and we'll get out." He's like, "Just meet me in the valet. I'm going to go get the car." I'm like, okay, like whatever. Didn't think too much of it. Went downstairs. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. Where you at?" He's like, "Oh, I'm on my way." I'm like sitting there. It's all hot. I'm sweating. I'm like getting annoyed. I'm like, I'm hungover from Vegas. Just want to go home. And I'm like, "Man, where is this guy? What is going on? Like, how far away is the car?" It's just in the parking lot, right? So then all of a sudden he's like, "I'm out front." I'm like, "I don't see you." I'm like, "I'm out front." He's like, "Well, I'm out front." And then all of a sudden I hear this white Lamborghini revving its engine in the valet area. I look over and it's Kevin in a brand new white Lambo, and he picked me up right there in valet. I just checked my bags and we went and had an amazing day. Cruised out to the Hoover Dam, made it there in a very short amount of time. And it was really fun, man.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
that. Was fun. That was fun. You know, it was, the story on that is we were hanging out, and you know, I'm an electric skateboard rider. You know, and so
That's right.
I had my electric skateboard. I brought it with me, and I was cruising down the strip, and I was waiting for you to get ready, and I was actually looking for a skateboard for you because you wanted to stay, I wanted to leave. So I was riding. I'm like, where can I find a skateboard for Oliver? Let me skate around and look for a skateboard for this guy, right? So as I'm riding, I'm just going down the strip, and then I see like a parking lot full of these like exotic cars, and it was like for rent. You know, I'm like, that's it. Like, I'm getting one of these, right? So I end up going in, picking up the car, and cruising over, and that was fun, man. That was a good time.
Super fun. We even took it off-roading, which I'm pretty sure Lambos aren't supposed to do.
Let's not tell the maybe the rental people are watching this. Let's not
never mind, that didn't actually happen.
Those folks. No, it didn't happen. So yeah. I mean, just going into the real estate stuff, just focusing heavily on growth. Systems has always been a big thing for me. Just thinking about how to exit tasks. I think is really important. And in what we do in real estate and really in any business as entrepreneurs, we kind of like to take everything on. At least for me, has always been like a control situation where I feel like, it's my idea, it's my vision. Like I know what needs to happen and I'm the only one that knows what needs to happen. I'm the best at what needs to happen and all those things. And then you kind of slowly start to unravel different processes in your business, no matter what it is, where you create a system for each and everything step by step, kind of like methodically. And until you get to a point where like you're out. And then once you're out, now you're free, because really think about, that's why you got into like not working at a 9 to 5 to begin with, to be free. Mm-hmm. But a lot of us end up being captive of our own business. Right.
Right.
And so my thing is like to try to get out and unwind and unpeel those steps and those processes until I'm free to do other things now. And so now I've got that sort of under control, move on to the next thing, and then just repeat the process. And so as like through my like journey has been just repeating that process with each and every project. And now the process becomes like the project too.
Mm-hmm. Now you put all the pieces together. You worked on each piece individually, and now you put them together, and you've got quite the machine.
And now it's to a point where like it's like a system for building businesses too, which is cool, and like building different parts of the business.
Okay, so we're gonna break all this down because I want to know how you do it, what your approach is, what you systematize, what you automate, what you software, what you virtual assistant, and kind of all that stuff. But kind of let's take a step back, and why don't you just tell me a little bit like high level about how the real estate machine looks as you've built it. So like you're the captain, you're at the top. Tell me about like how the rest of the business runs and how many people are on your team.
Well, with Marker, it's an independent brokerage. We focus primarily on leads and generating leads for agents.
On the Inc. 500, by the way. Very congratulations. Yeah. Good job on that.
You too.
Thank you.
So just the focus has been like solving problems for whatever the business looks like, whatever that, like we're in real estate brokerage. What is the biggest problem for real estate agents in a real estate brokerage? My answer to that is like acquisition of customers, lead generation. Yep. Where's my next deal coming from? And so if I can solve that problem, then I think I'm in a good place as a business owner, and also being able to, answer questions for agents when they're trying to solve those problems too is really beneficial. So the foundation of our business is like helping agents generate leads. So what that looks like is we probably have now like at the brokerage and the independent brokerage probably like 120 people total. And then, we have other businesses and other like companies. So like total.
All the ancillary services.
Everything I'm working on, probably like, I don't know, like 250 people or something. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, as far as like, that's the foundation. The foundation is lead generation and answering questions and solving problems for agents. So with that, we're generating leads from various sources.
So that's actually what I want to break down. I want to break down because I think the real estate machine that you've built, as I'm calling it now, is designed to, just like you said, help agents get more business in an automated and scalable way. And I think that most real estate people would agree that is probably the biggest problem, right? Yeah. Is just the constant like finding of new deals. And if you can systematize and automate that, which you've done an amazing job of, the business can almost run on autopilot. Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about basically the whole funnel, how it works, from where you're getting the leads, how they enter your system, the tools, the softwares, everything that you're using, how the follow-up looks, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So why don't we break it down at the top? Talk to me about the lead sources, and then we'll talk about how they get into your system.
Traditionally, we used portals.
Okay. And portals, just for definition, is the Realtor.com,
Zillow.
Zillows. Yep.
The reality today is that portals are becoming, first of all, like the cost per lead is it's become very high. And so we've kind of gone away from portals, specifically as a lead source, and started to look at other places, like social media, Google, particularly even with Facebook, and also our existing lead source. Everybody has a lead source. We have a lead source in our very phone, right? Like our phone is a lead source because we have our sphere of influence there. Yep. So it's really just about being in front of our existing databases and the databases that have been accumulated over time. Like everybody, if you've been in real estate for a year, you've probably talked to people about real estate. So that becomes a lead source. And it's the idea of staying in front of those people for a long enough period of time so that. And
that's one thing I think that you do a really good job on that most people miss is that you're like, you don't care. You'll put people in that you opted in 5 years ago, and you're continuing to drip with them with information, with things like Real Scout that show them only properties that they're interested in. So talk to me about that, because I think a lot of people, like, once they feel like they've called someone 2 or 3 times, they kind of like give up on it. I feel like that's like the industry standard. So like, how long do you follow up with these people?
There's a phrase that I remember was I was learning about real estate and marketing, is that they buy or they die. So the objective is to stay in front of people forever until they tell you either they're not interested anymore or they end up buying or transacting with you. And then now we have to be very careful with rules and regulations around that. So we're very careful about that.
Do not call list, all that kind of stuff.
And all those things, and every area has its own, whatever. You just need to make sure you're careful with that. But we're constantly looking for people to opt in.
Right.
Okay. So how do we do that is by retargeting them online. Okay. So we're targeting people with relevant content, relevant information that's going to be interesting enough to them where they want to engage with you. Okay. And so the point is, I want to tell a story. Okay.
Let's hear it.
The story is, and this is something that I think real estate agents should listen to. And this is one thing that if you kind of keep this in mind, you're going to be successful. And this is what I use. And I got this story as a really young kid. I worked at a shoe store. I was 19 years old. And we worked at a competitive environment type shoe store, commission only.
Like sales floor.
Cutthroat store, and we're all these young salespeople. And
which I do think everyone should do at least one point in their life.
I think
work in that environment.
In a retail
just
commission.
Any sort of high sales environment.
And I want to talk about
Sink
that
or
too.
Swim environment.
Definitely. I think it's important. And I think I'd love to get into that too, that the psychology and
I don't want to derail your story though.
So the story, young kid working in a competitive sales floor environment, very good salespeople at that time for young kids selling shoes at the mall. And there was this young other kid that worked in the stockroom area. And every day, I remember almost every day, he would come in, he would ask the manager for a job every day. And every day, the manager would tell him, we're not hiring, right? And we would kind of just laugh and be like, there's no way, right? He's not going to he has no experience. He works in the back. There's no way he's not going to survive out here, right? So, but then every day he'd come in every day, ask for a job. Every day he'd be denied. And then one day, it was a holiday season, retail, busy time of year. We all get to the store. We're ready to go. Everyone's pumped up. And who do we see? We see this kid that was been asking for a job every day, and we're kind of chuckling. And he's there. He's on the sales floor, ready to sell. Okay. And I remember asking our manager, Ted, was Ted, what happened here? How'd you hire this guy? There's no way, And he said, well, last night, Jamie called me and said she couldn't make it. She quit. And it's the holidays. I needed someone on the sales floor, so I knew I can count on him. So I called him. And he showed up, sure enough, right? And he did great, actually, by the way. And it was awesome. He ended up staying and working there for a long time. And I think if we kind of have that mentality as salespeople, where as long as I'm staying in front of my clients long enough so that when the time comes where they're ready to transact, they'll just think of me and remember me. It doesn't matter how many transactions I've done. Doesn't matter how long I've been in the business. Doesn't matter what my experience level is. Whatever. It does not matter. When they need someone, they're gonna remember the first person. The first person that comes to mind is the one that is going to be most convenient for them, most easy for them to get in front of and reach out to. And that's, I think, what we sometimes forget and we don't really think about when we're marketing as agents, because a lot of times it's like low hanging fruit mentality. And if somebody's not replying to me, it means that they're not interested. Okay, they might not be interested right now, today. But my job is not to necessarily. It's really just about staying in front of people. And then when I'm reaching out to people and calling them and connecting with them, it's not about really necessarily convincing anyone to do anything. It's just like showing your face to remind them that you're there. And then when I'm having those conversations, if I am prospecting and, reaching out to people, I'm not looking to convince anyone. What I'm looking for is motivation, right? So I'm looking for people that are motivated. But if I'm in front of them for a long enough period of time, when they're motivated, they're going to reach out to me. So I don't have to do that work to do the outreach. And I think any entrepreneur, any person that's in any type of sales, if you follow that strategy, you're going to be successful. Yeah. And it's just a matter of like building a pipeline. Whether you're like a photographer and you want to get customers, right? Like you're going to reach out to agents.
Yeah, and that story of the guy that you just told is the perfect example of why if you just keep following up, eventually when the need comes, right? The guy needed to fill the sales floor. This guy's been asking for 2 years or whatever. It just now it's a match, and he got the job, and he did really well.
So every single day right now, Oliver, like I can't tell you how many emails that I get, how many calls, text messages from clients saying, I want this house. I want to list my house here. I want to buy this here. And it's like, I need you to get back to me. Like, when are you going to call me? I need this now. Like my problem now, Oliver, is like keeping up with the inbound, because we've done so much outbound that it's like, it's become, like you said, as a machine. I don't have to do anything really. And so we've gotten to a point now where I'm just finding other agents that want to join my team that I can help. And I send those leads out to them and those clients. But what I've been working on lately, which is very exciting, is showing successful brokers and teams that want to get to this kind of point, how to do it too. And that's like been my latest like fun project.
The system.
Yeah,
I like that. We've talked about that a lot, and I definitely think you should do that because there's a huge need there.
Yeah.
So let's. I'm gonna go back into all this follow-up stuff because I think that's the most important takeaway. So you're either acquiring leads, or they're in your sphere of influence, or they're past clients or whatever, and they come into the funnel. However they come in, whether it's Facebook ads, Zillow, Realtor.com, you buy them, you meet them, whatever it is, right? And then they go into the real estate machine, and then talk to me about what happens. What does the follow-up look like?
So this is like, what I'm going to say, like, can be done a lot of different ways. And so I'm going to share how I do it. And then people that are listening are probably going to be like, why do you do it like that? Like, I would do it this way or that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say how I do it, and then whatever. So lead comes in. We have responders that go automatically. We also have a big inset.
Pause.
Yeah.
You have, what do you mean by responders that go out immediately? Okay, so someone enters in their name, email, and phone number. What happens?
We have like I would say it's proprietary setup where if somebody comes in, they're getting a response and they're getting long-term response communication, like they're kind of like artificial intelligence setup. Okay. So as an individual agent, my problem is I have clients. I need to be out in the field, go meet with clients. Okay. When lead comes in, we need a responder. We need someone to get back to them because we all know that speed is very important. Okay, but so there's a lot of products out there right now that will send out the initial reply. They'll like text, the phone.
Thank you for opting in. We'll get back to you shortly, whatever.
Okay, so yes. But my thought on that is that's not enough.
Right, I agree.
Okay? Because that was good in like 2016, but now we have the ability to have conversations with people using artificial intelligence where it's staying authentic and it feels real.
And this is where it gets exciting to me. So let's break these down, right? So someone opts in. You are, I believe, and I want to go through all of these individually, but you have the agent call, you have a VA call, you have text messages go out, you have emails go out, and then you have maybe physical mail involved at some point, and then anything else?
Retargeting.
So retargeting on all the social platforms. And okay, so let's break all those down, right?
Okay,
so
I'll go.
Someone
so
opts in.
Okay, somebody opts in. There's a conversation happening. Okay, so it's like how many bedrooms you're looking for, and this is automated.
Okay. And what are you using to do that?
We have a software that we use. It's basically an internal software that we built.
That you are taking to market soon.
That we are taking to market soon.
Okay,
so
cool. So keep your eye out for that, for sure.
So we're having conversations, and then
and just to take a step back, I want like really talk about that, because to me, I was blown away by what you showed me and how the AI works. And so talk to me just a little bit about that process, because it's crazy.
Yeah, and I'd say, like, if anyone's interested, can I like say this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you guys, if anyone's interested, it's gonna be coming out soon. So like enter your info or something, like talk to Oliver.
Yeah, put it in the comments, send us a message, reach out to Kevin.
Exciting, okay? And I've been in like lead gen and doing this for a long time. This is like one of the first times I've been very excited in a long time. Okay, so what's happening is conversations are taking place where we're asking certain questions that are important questions, like how many bedrooms, or do you want to sell your home or buy? At what time frame? Are you working with an agent? Have you talked to a lender yet? And so on. We're asking the very important questions so that when the time comes where we can get in front of that, like when it's time to take a look at that lead or that person's information, they've already answered all the questions that we're looking for.
Yep.
So what I talked about earlier, it's like the process of elimination. I want to eliminate tasks and steps. So let's say you have a sales team, like I have a call center, right? I can reduce the number of people in my call center focusing on this one particular task. They can go do other things because we've solved this problem now.
And you're really pre-qualifying the leads before anyone even talks to them, which is the beautiful part.
It's the beautiful part. And the great thing about this particular process is that at any point, we can pick up the conversation like mid-conversation. So if I want, like, my inside sales team is watching this, and they can see, like, maybe it's not going in the right direction, or maybe it's like, hey, this is a perfect time for me to jump in. We can do that. Okay. Right. So that's like where it gets really cool. And that's what we're working on right now. Yeah. That's what's going to be launching pretty soon. But so then we have a sales team, call center type people that many of them are working abroad. We have some people that are working in the US, and their job is to reach out and set appointments. That's their job. And that's all they do. Their objective is to set appointments for agents on our team, face-to-face appointments and phone appointments, and just kind of, starting from the top and working its way down.
Okay. Pause. Let's break this one down as well. So you have virtual assistants that do your calls. The lead comes in. How quickly are they on that?
Oh, right away. They're watching every single lead that comes in.
Right. So that's the one part I want you to talk about, because that's a key to the system, is making sure that these leads get reached out to, like, immediately.
Right away. So they're getting reached out to with that messenger thing, right? That I was telling you about. But also sometimes people don't respond to the messenger, right? Some people don't, or whatever. So basically our inside sales team is watching those conversations, and our agents are getting access to those too. So what happens is lead comes in, we start having the automated conversation. Our inside sales team's watching that conversation. At the same time, agents get notified. All of our agents get an alert saying a lead just came in. You have a chance to claim it, okay?
I like that.
So boom, they claim it. Now they're watching it too. They're coordinating with the inside salesperson.
And what are you using? What's that? Is that a tool, a software? How do they claim it?
We just use Follow-Up Boss. Follow-Up Boss is the method that goes and notifies everybody. Once the person claims the lead, now they have access to it. Awesome. And they're watching those conversations and basically communicating with the inside salesperson. And from that point, it's like a jump ball situation. Who can get to that client, set the appointment. A lot of times the inside salesperson is having the conversation, and then they're setting appointment for the agent. Sometimes, like, if based on the convo in the chat, we don't even have a conversation with them because they've answered all the questions, and we just automatically send it over and say, like, basically,
this one's ready to go.
Yeah. So that's and so with every single person, they're being obviously added into our database, and each person gets added into Real Scout, which is an awesome platform, which I know you guys just set up as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a second too.
And so they're getting an opt-in there, and then we're setting up a automated drip of emails with the listings that they originally inquired on, like criteria, right? So if somebody says I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in San Francisco, we're going to set them up with a drip with 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes in San Francisco. So they're constantly getting our information, seeing us. Again, it's about the story at the shoe store. It's like it's just about being seen and reminders that we're here. Yeah.
And I think a critical distinction is you're not sending out recipe cards and market updates and stuff that nobody cares about. You're leveraging a tool like Real Scout, which we can talk about. Shout out to Andrew, by the way. Great company and great tool. But what's amazing about Real Scout is when you assign someone onto the drip, the follow-up, it's only sending them properties that are similar to the one that they were interested in. And if they're like, let's say they're a backyard person or a kitchen person or a entertainer's person, it reorganizes all the photos and it sends them in a way that is most appealing to that person. So they're almost like individually tailored emails based on that person's specific preferences.
Right. And we can set that up or they can set that up. So for example, again, just to kind of recap, is like if somebody only likes certain types of kitchens, the first picture, first of all, we can send of the property is the kitchen. And then if it has certain types of cabinets, we can select those types of cabinets. So, but the really nice part about Real Scout and any type of marketing that we're doing is the data, right? So my thing is like, how can I save time and be efficient as a salesperson so I'm not wasting time on people that aren't motivated? Because remember, we're looking for motivation. We're not looking to convince anybody. So my objective is, how am I going to find motivated people? So if I'm doing this type of marketing, it's very important to be able to track the data that's taking place, the engagement that's taking place with those people, so that I'm reaching out to those individuals that are most likely to transact. Now, how does that happen? There is software, like even within Real Scout, that shows you, okay, this person's opened the email 55 times. This person's looked at this property 22 times. This person's like clicked on this or that. And it's becoming a little bit more popular, I think, but it's very important because then I can just create a list. Then I just go down the list with the person that's most engaged and just have those conversations. And then what we do is we narrow down those lists so that I take, let's say, I might take out of like 10,000 people. We'll take the top 10% most engaged individuals and we then retarget them with something more specific. And you know all about this, man.
Yeah.
So we retarget those individuals with something more specific. And then we take those individuals out of that 10%, that'd be 1,000 people. And we see who's most engaged with that. Out of that 1,000, you might have 10%. Now you have 100. Okay, it's a smaller list, but it's a more engaged list that's more interested in what you have to say. So out of that 100 now, I do something even more specific, maybe a little bit more like direct, right? Because they know me, they know who I am. They're more interested in what I have to say because they're engaging with what I have to say. Then I take that and so on, right? So then I get down to a very small list of people that are very interested in what I have to say. And guess what? By the time it gets to that point, you probably don't even have to make a phone call because they're going to be reaching out to you, which is what's happening to me. Like I go look at my phone right now and I bet you I have like 3-4 emails since we started of people that are like, we want to do this, we want to do that. So
it's beautiful.
It's just like, yeah. And like I said, my thing right now is like when people work with us, we show them how to do it if they're motivated to learn. But I think where this comes really, where like I said, it's like really exciting for me is that somebody who's out there that wants to learn how to do it for their own team, for their own brokerage, like let's talk, you know?
Right. Yeah. Because it really applies for agents. It applies for brokers trying to help their agents. It could apply for investors trying to run a team of bird dogs, right? Like this system works for a lot of different...
For everything. Anything in sale, any kind of marketing or sales where we're targeting customers, this approach works for any industry. Like
the agent can claim... Well, I want to break this down again. So agent can claim the lead, and that's through Follow Up Boss. They're getting automated emails that are very specific to their taste, what they like, very personalized. That's through Real Scout. You're also having virtual assistants make calls. Is that a company you work with, or do you just find them individually?
I love companies that I've worked with, and there's lots of them out there that are great. And I love people that the owners of those companies are friends of mine. Over the years, I've decided to just do it on my own, and I've created a system, surprisingly, for that. And so we now are reaching out to virtual people from around the world, and we kind of do it ourselves and just kind of manage.
We should almost do another episode on virtual assistants, because that's another thing that people can really win with. If you guys want us to do an episode about that, virtual assistants and how you can use them in your business, let us know down below.
Yeah, and we've got that down to a T as well, and some really smart people that can be very crucial to the success of a business and in a cost-effective way. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so you're finding these people. Any tips on where they can find a virtual assistant? Maybe Upwork. There's also virtuallatinos.com for people down in South America and Central America. There's lots of them in the Philippines.
Just finding local websites, where can I go that's a Craigslist in Nicaragua, and then placing ads there. One of the things that I did early on, kind of like a hack, because I didn't know what I was doing, is I would just look up on Facebook call centers that are looking for dialers.
Good. Good reverse engineering.
And then anybody that replied to that ad or whatever, I would just reach out to. So that's another way you can try. But there's plenty of
and there's lots of them that are done for you. There's some that are real estate specific. So
what I'd recommend on that, one last thing on that, is just probably start with a company so you can learn how it works and just manage how to manage.
And the other benefit of a company is if you're not really feeling that person, they can swap them out. They usually have a manager that kind of oversees things. So if there's any issues, that can be very helpful as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we talked about the virtual assistants. What about, and then emails through Real Scout. You mentioned also retargeting. Where are you doing the retargeting mainly, and who are you retargeting? Anyone that engages or everyone on the list?
Both. So we have retargeting campaigns for general lists of individuals, and simply creating a custom audience and adding it into Facebook, and then retargeting with ads, and then breaking down based on engagement with the more highly engaged individuals with more targeted ads, more specific, more often. And then of course there's YouTube, there's Google, there's so many places now that we can be retargeting people. So that's pretty much.
And it's cheap. So if you guys aren't doing that, definitely start. The retargeting traffic is almost unbelievably cheap.
It's so inexpensive, and it's just you can narrow down the audience, and it's one of those things that you may not get an immediate return, but it's effective. And over time, it's building a pipeline. It takes some time to build, but then over time, you're going to start seeing results.
Yeah, most definitely. And then what about text messages? Because I know that's something you do really well as well. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so texting, there's lots of different apps out there. I prefer Agent Legends, solid.
Agent Legend.
Agent Legend's a good option for texting. You just now you just have to be real careful with these types of things. You just want to make sure you're not.
They've got to actually be opted in.
Yeah. So if you're sending out
or
text
past
messages,
customers.
Yeah. But it's just really about communication in any way possible.
And what does that follow up look like?
So people that have opted in, we have campaigns inside of Agent Legend. So there's email drip campaigns, text message campaigns, and then also a slide broadcast type, voicemail drop. So just we're focusing on sellers. So a lot of our sellers, both in properties that we're looking to purchase and properties that we're looking to list, we're using Agent Legend for that. And typically with those individuals, I'd say, you probably, my experience is don't want to go cold. You don't want to send to a cold list, because those people are going to just tell you to screw off,
For sure.
So you want to send people definitely that have opted in, that know you, that know who you are, that have engaged with your stuff, that have some interest in what you have to say. So, and using that in an automated way is very effective and time efficient, and can be done with any business. So like everything we're talking about really can be utilized in any type of industry, like any business. So it's, and yeah, I mean, we're getting creative too. And I can tell you about some of the other things, like how we're generating leads outside of retargeting and just like strategic or traditional strategic marketing. We're like opening companies. Like, for example, I started a handyman business. And so with that is like, think about what are things that like my customer is doing before transacting. So like, what are things that people do? If I want to focus on sellers, where are sellers spending their time? How can I go upstream? We talk about this all the time, you know, how can I go upstream in the funnel? How can I be higher in the funnel where before someone's making a decision, I'm in their mind space, right? So we started thinking about where are they? So typically, if somebody's thinking about selling their house, what do? They're
going to do some repairs for sure.
And typically, like if I'm doing repairs, I'm going to probably call a handyman. So what we did is we started a handyman service, okay? And the way that started was I had a handyman that I used that was really like a nice guy, was really good. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, like I can probably work with this person. So ended up starting a handyman service and just used one of our inside salespeople, putting some ads out, getting calls and setting appointments, and for the handyman to go out, and we set it up where it's like an 80-20 split, right? So he gets 80, we get 20. And so we're making like $1,000 a week off of handyman services, beautiful. But also getting listings out of it. And we've like listed a number of properties.
That's what I was going to say. That's brilliant for two reasons. Because one, we always talk about adding profit centers to your business. That's a common theme that we talk about a lot. So you're adding a profit center to your business, and you're killing two birds with one stone, because that profit center also generates you more business, which is like,
it's great. It's like a win-win, and helping the handyman guy, right? Yeah. So the way we do it is we just give a bonus for any listing that we sign as a result of the introduction. We're also talking with our inside salespeople to make sure they are asking the right questions. Like, hey, what's the reason that you're thinking of, like, why do you need this help? Are you thinking of moving or whatever? So it's all about like setting up those types of incentives. But I just like kind of like challenge everyone to think think outside the box. As like sucks to say that as a cliche, but just think like, what are some ways that in what you're doing you can create opportunity that maybe normally you don't hear about very much, right? Like what are your customers
that
doing?
Is also in line with what you're already doing, which is the perfect thing in a handyman service.
Yeah. So now we're like insured, we've got everything like set up, and it's like a legit, like I have a corporation, like everything is like, so, and now we're scaling that, you know, and it just becomes, again, it's like a system and a process for building a business that originated with like starting Marker Real Estate. And it's all about like replicating and just keeping it simple. And I remember like when I was learning, and I'm still learning all the time, but when I was very early on, I had a person who I was working with that I learned a lot from, who would say, everything that you do in your business needs to be set up so that if you die tomorrow, like a third grader can go pick up right where you left off, and just like no issues, like streamlined as possible.
And so how do you do that? Because I think in theory it sounds great, but how do you do it?
So one is is like, these are all like generalizations, but try to keep things as simple as possible. Okay. Definitely. Like the least amount of steps. So if I create a process, I'm going to go over that again and try to eliminate steps. So I'm just all about like elimination, you know, and then writing it out. So I literally like have like a standard operating procedure for everything.
And where does that live? Is that like a Word doc?
It's in a Google Doc.
A Google Drive?
Google Drive. Okay. So we have a Google Doc that goes into a Google Drive, and we have...
so your team can access it, virtual assistants can access it.
It's important. And the thing is with that is the best way that I've seen to do that is to do it as you go. So like as you're writing out notes, and then just like, then you itemize it and then edit it and then you put it in the doc. But You can also like what I did is because I didn't think about this early on, is I went back, and so I started thinking about, we made a list of all the things that need a process. And so now we created a process to create the process.
Yeah. A list of things you need to make a process for.
Exactly. So we literally have a processes call, me and Ashley, who's on my team, at 11 o'clock. I think it's like every Thursday, where we knock out like 2 processes, and we do that. And it's important. It really is. And if you want to build a business that's like legitimate, you know, so it's not all in your head. You have to get it out.
So that you're not always in hunt and kill mode. Right?
Yes.
Like, you can go on vacation and leads are still going to come in. Agents are still going to close deals. Handyman is still going to do, you know, service calls. And it's all going to run.
It really is true. And I think I heard this from you, is, you know, you've got a good business when you leave and it's still running. But you know you have a great business when you leave and you've actually made more money.
And it gets bigger.
It gets bigger. Okay.
Exactly.
So, and it's actually like, when you get to this point, it seems like, because I remember I felt this too. I felt like there's no way. How are you doing that? I remember I was on at an event, and I was looking at these people on stage, and they're talking about like, oh, I make more money now. I work less than ever. I'm like, how? You know, how do you do that? There's no way. I can't. I mean, I'm like, there's no way. But it's really just about kind of like letting go, and then creating a system for the things that you let go of, because then you feel less anxious. So about that process. And what I would recommend is to write out all the things that you're doing. Here's a way that you can systemize your tasks, systemize your business, okay? First thing is to write out all the tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and do it on an hourly basis. So every hour, I have a notepad or on my phone, I'm going to write out all the things that I did, okay? Over a week, or maybe even less, but let's say a week, you're going to start to see a pattern of inefficiency. And you're going to start to see a pattern of things that you don't enjoy, things that you're not good at, things that you shouldn't be doing that are wasting time. So you take those items and you put them to the side, eliminate the things that shouldn't be happening. And believe me, there's a lot of that. And then the things that need to be happening that you're not good at or you don't enjoy, that's your job description for your person that you're going to hire to help you do that. And guess what? There are people out there that actually love that, to do those things.
Most definitely.
That you don't like to do. And so, you know, and then repeat. But,
and then to your point there, it sounds at the beginning like, whoa, that's like a big overwhelming thing. But if you just start with one, make your list, start with one, knock that one out, it will change your business. Then go to number 2, knock that one out. And eventually you'll get through all 26 of them or whatever it is on the list, and you'll have a really systematized, automated business.
And it creates, like, I'm like a kind of an anxious when it comes to my like business. I'm always wanting to be pinged. I want to feel like something's happening all the time. But it helps with that anxiety in like feeling like things aren't happening. Because I always want to feel like things are happening in my business. You know, I want to feel like things are moving and we're growing. And so if I create a process, it takes that like fear away, and it justifies, right? So it justifies your pay, what you're paying people, and all that. So, yeah, I mean, I'd highly recommend that. I don't know how we got here, man.
No, I totally agree, and I think we're on some really good stuff, because I think it's super important, and I think a lot of people aren't doing it. They're not working on their business enough. That what you just laid out is the blueprint for working on your business, right? Yeah. So, like, I'm actually leaving for a month to go to Costa Rica, which I told you about. Yep. Taking the family down there, and we're going to work and play and have a great time. And I'm bringing with me a list of things, just like we talked about, of things I want to build a process for, things I want to systematize, virtual assistants I want to hire. And it's really about just going away, if you need to go away, and working on the business. Because when I come back, we're going to have new systems in place. We're going to have new virtual assistants working on things, and we're going to be more efficient by doing that.
What I really admire about what you do is, like, you'll go to an event and you'll spend like 3 days at an event. And like what we do usually at events is like cram, right? We're taking all these notes and all this stuff and everything. And it's like all this info. And then we go home, and a lot of times what happens is like we don't a lot of times do those things because we don't do a lot of the things because it's just like we're back into the world. We're back into our day-to-day stuff. But I really like what you do, which is like you actually do it. You go to an event, you spend 3 or 4 days, and then you go to like another trip. You take a trip to like soak it all in though, right? And you and your business partners get together and you guys like just think about everything that you went over and learned at the meeting, and you like break it down, and then you start to prioritize the things that you want to focus on, and really just like focus in on the things that are most important. And I think when I heard that, I'm like, wow, that is really smart.
Yeah, that's been a big game changer for us. So maybe 2 tips on that. One is just when you go to a 3-day event, just add an extra day and take that extra day to chill and like formulate everything that you just learned or all the notes you took, and pick 2 or 3 things that you can just do right then and there on that extra day, and you'll be miles ahead by the time you came back. 1. And 2 is 3 to 4 times a year we'll take a trip like you just mentioned, and it's just me and my 2 business partners, and we'll rent an Airbnb somewhere and we'll just go away and we'll just work on these types of things, building new systems, building a new marketing plan, writing that blog post that we've been meaning to write for 6 months and have never gotten around to. It's like all those types of things. And when you're just away and you're focused, like the amount of stuff you get done is it's crazy.
It reminds me of like in school when we'd go to like the library. Like I was like a horrible student, but like it's kind of like that though, right? But in a fun way. And not that being in a library is not fun, but just like you're working on your business. And you're kind of just it's the same thing as educating yourself. You just
right.
And that's the thing with like going to events and it's like it's an education. And so like investing in your education is important, right? So that's why like, getting with maybe like hiring people, hiring specialists, hiring experts, going to and paying for events. Like these are things that I was always kind of not necessarily against, but I wasn't really into. I think people are kind of relate to that, but then you think of it as like, this is my education that I'm paying for, and my education is going to give me the life that I want to live and all those things. And it starts to, again, you're just like justifying. And I think it's really important. But, and a lot of these systems and all these things that you're talking about have been, for me, I've picked up along the way, and not all just like from like out of my own head, right? It's like it's taking and learning from other people, and it's important to surround
and taking
yourself.
that one nugget and putting it into your system, right?
Exactly.
And making your system better.
What was interesting about the Mike Ferry event that we went to, he goes, Mike said, what percentage of the information that I share do you think people actually use? And it was like this really low number.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he asked that question to all of his top producers that were sitting at the top of the room. And he's like, how much do you use? Oh, I use like 25%. Oh, I use like 30%. Oh, I think the highest was like 40%.
Yeah.
And so the point was there's always room to get better.
Yeah. And the point is like, we have these like certain expectations. I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to hire this coach. I'm going to learn all this stuff. It's probably not going to happen. But if you learn one thing, that could be the thing that takes you to the next level. So it's okay, but yeah, it's just, yeah.
So here's a question I have on systems. I think the 2 biggest pain points for most people, including myself, is building the system's great. It looks great. It's on paper. You're like, damn, that's it right there. That's fire. And then the implementation part comes in, right? So the 2 biggest pain points, in my opinion, and I'd love to get your feedback on this, is 1, tracking the results, and 2, holding the people and the softwares accountable to doing what they're supposed to be doing consistently.
You just have to like set up a process for it. If you're not the one to do that, and I'm like going through this right now myself, is like, again, making that list. If I'm not good at holding people accountable, then I need to find someone that is, and then just basically hire them and bring them onto your team. It's a lot of Google
Which
Sheets.
is such an easy tip, but so true, and such a good tip.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not the type of person that likes to hold people accountable or is good at it, find that person.
Yeah, and I would start with, like, if you already have like a team, you have people, start with the people that are already on your team. See who is there that could possibly step in and fill that role. And then if not, then, just hire out for it.
Mm-hmm.
But.
And then what about the tracking piece?
So the tracking piece is like, depending on what, like if we're tracking.
Like, so back to the funnel, right? The real estate machine is, all these agent calls, the texts, the emails, like the retargeting. How are you tracking spend, KPIs, conversions, results, contracts, closings?
So we're tracking appointments, tracking offers and listings, and tracking essentially contracts and closings.
Back to keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. And those are the things that ultimately we want. Like, those are the results, and that's what we, like, I have a person that's responsible for tracking that, and that's how they're compensated, is based on those results and those numbers. And so, again, like you said, it's just, it's like, I can ask how many calls you made and micromanage and all that, but I don't know. I think in the beginning you want to do that. It's like, I want to know how many calls. Like, how many calls? You only made this many? But at the end of the day, like, I want results.
Right.
So, like, what is it
closings,
that you want?
contracts, those are the things that will make the difference.
Yeah, and let's track that. And
that's the beautiful part about the accountability too. It's like, look, I gave you 27 leads last month and you have 0 contracts and 0 closings. That's a problem.
If that's the case, then
and your associate here, I gave the same 27 leads to, and they got 4 contracts and 2 closings.
Yeah. And so the simple answer there is, well, either you're too busy or it's not the right fit, and it's okay. Like, we don't have to do that. Like, we'll just move on. And then, as far as like tracking the results on your ROI or whatever, it's we try to go between 3 to 4x on every dollar spent to dollar returned. And so far we've had to make some adjustments, and things change. Like I was saying earlier with the portals, gradually those numbers started to decline. So at one time, we were obviously even like at $7 for every dollar spent, which is really good.
Killer.
But like that, I think is no longer the case in most situations with portals. So we're now looking at other avenues. But again, it's more about like long term, building building a pipeline that can deliver for you over like your life, the life of that client, the life of your business. And that's what's really important.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, man, I got to tell you some really good tips. You dropped some really good softwares. You pulled back the whole curtain on what you're doing. So I appreciate that. A couple questions I like to wrap up with. Number one, you already dropped a whole bunch of these, so I don't know if you have any more, but just favorite tools and tech that you use that just help you run your business, help you make more money, help you with peace of mind, whatever it is.
I think, there's so many. Just thinking like, what's my foundation? We have to have a good CRM. So I'd say like our Follow Up Boss CRM.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think like what is out there that's like maybe not the most heard of or something, but Zapier.
Yeah.
Zapier is huge, like an integration.
Hooks
software. Everything
together, makes all your stuff work. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
those. And then tell me about the one that you're building, because I think that's going to be huge. What you were showing me the other day of the conversations that are being had without any humans actually being involved, other than the potential prospect, is unbelievable.
I was a lot more open about that before, but like I kind of have to like keep it
under wraps.
And I hate that, but
man, I feel you.
But it's basically a product that will be able to create more opportunity through conversations that are intelligent conversations, through artificial intelligence that are come across as being very authentic to the end user, that's very user friendly for the agent, where we can step in at any moment and pick up, which makes it even more authentic, because then the consumer might feel, oh, this doesn't seem real. And then boom, like they're hit with like a normal, something off the wall.
Right.
So we have that in there. It's very important. And I just say like, I don't know, like stay tuned, because it's going to be like, it's a big part of my business right now.
Right.
And that's why I'm really excited about it. That's like when I said we moved away from all these other things, like we're using this. It's a lead provider. It's a lead conversion tool. It's a long-term communication, retargeting even. So it's
all automated.
It's all automated, and it's going to be very cost-effective. And I think people will be like as agents and brokers, like being in the real estate business and like lead generation and technology world for as long as I've been involved, like I said, I haven't been as excited about something like this in a very long time. So I don't know if people if they were interested, like reach out to you or
reach out to Kevin, Marker Real Estate, Kevin Markarian. You can drop your info if you want, social, whatever.
Just I'm on Facebook. You can just message me on Messenger. I'll reach out. It's easy.
It may or may not be automated when you get a response.
There's a chance. But
all right. Well, cool. I love that. We'll definitely stay tuned for that because that's very exciting. One final question I like to ask everyone at the end. I know you're a father of 3, and I got 2 young boys at home. And if you were coaching them on how to be successful in life, what would you tell them?
I would tell them the most important thing in life is relationships, and just focus and think about that, and I think everything else will take care of itself.
Beautiful. Well said. Couldn't agree more. Once again, I'm going to give you a cheers. Appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely do this again. If you guys have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you definitely hit that like button. Show this guy some love. And if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.